Hello everyone from Senior Vitality. This is Jannell from Community Tech Network and welcome back to our channel. So today we're going to talk about the accessibility features on the iPad. There are so many different options or different ways to customize your iPad so that it really helps you get things done according to the various physical or audio kinds of needs that you have. There are a variety of different options that you could check and look through to see if maybe they help you out a bit better. I'm going to go over just a few of these different kinds of accessibility features, particularly ones that I've heard have really assisted many of my students in the class. And so I will just go over a number of them, but feel free to check them out as I demonstrate them. Alright, so the accessibility features can be found within your Settings app. So that is right there for me. It is that gray gear looking app. I'm going to give it a tap. Now this accessibility menu can be found on the left-hand side, just scrolling down a few inches down here. And that's where it is. So upon touching this label, you will find this menu that I have already opened on the right-hand side. And here are the different kinds of sections that they have, or different options that they have. They have these vision options, physical and motor, hearing, and then this last section called general. I will primarily go over some of the visual options and then just a few of the physical and motor. I will not be going over this hearing section. This is very useful for different hearing devices or maybe different kinds of other things. Here I'm going to show you one, for example. You could pair a MFI hearing device or hearing aid. Here in audio visual, you can have headphone accommodations. I do not have the devices in order to properly demonstrate those, so I will not be going over those. While I'm here, there is one that says sound recognition. And you know what's great about every single one of these different options is that they have an explanation right below the specific setting and generally how to do it. Here's another one, subtitles and captioning. And so there are these ones that I don't have the expertise in, but I will go over some other ones. Let's start from the top. One popular one that a lot of my students have used in the past is something called Zoom. So I'm going to go there to this option here. And so some of my students have used it and then have chosen not to because of just the different kinds of gestures that you have to remember. But it has proven very helpful for some of my other students. And so like I said, every single one of these options has a description here or how to use it. So this one called Zoom, it says that it magnifies the screen. And how to use it is with these three different kinds of steps. To double tap 3 fingers to zoom, in other words, make something huge or bigger. Drag 3 fingers to move around the screen. And then double tap 3 fingers to drag to change zoom. So the main gesture you have to remember involves the 3 fingers and double tapping, dragging, and then double tap and drag. Okay, so let's check this out. You could press the right-hand side of it to turn it on. Okay. And as you notice, a window here has appeared. And again, it's involving 3 fingers that I manipulate this zoomed window. This is going to be kind of like, you could think of it like a square magnifying or a rectangular magnifying glass that you could use around the screen. So if we have 3 fingers here, I am dragging, and that's allowing me to move within the section that it's over to see what there is. And you can see that's pretty big. If I double tap, oops, sorry, accidentally touched one of those options because these are still touchable with 1 finger. Here it goes. That is so that I could either open it or close it. I can double tap on an area that is hard for me to see, maybe this text right here, which is kind of small. Double tapping activated it. Dragging across the window helps me see what I need. There's also this little circular kind of shape here at the bottom. Touching that will allow you to have a bit more control. So feel free to check these out. There's options like zooming out, choosing the region, resizing the lens, right? So making it bigger or smaller. Choosing a filter, show the controller, and then also to change how magnified it is. So if you need it bigger, you can definitely go in between here to change that. Let's say I make it bigger and I choose resize lens. I could pinch where these circles are outward. I could even choose to do the whole screen if I wanted. And then drag it along to read. I think the reason why some people might not be too big of a fan of this option is because it's easy to get lost on where exactly you are on the screen. But this is a lot better than the maxed out font size that the iPad generally gives you when adjusting the sizes of the different text on the screen. I'll show you that in a moment. Again, to deactivate this or to close it, I would just double tap, 3 fingers. There it goes. Takes a while. Now I'm going to turn it off. Okay. Another option that we have, just going back there, is display and text size. So this is where you could change some of the different ways that the text or apps, different things on your screen appear. As you can see, I have bold text already on. I'll turn it off for you to see just a slight difference. Made the words, yes, thinner. Tapping it makes it thicker. I also have this on, larger text. If I touch this, we get this kind of grid here that you can move up and down to change the text size. There's small a to show you that it can get smaller if you move it towards the left, and a large A. So if I move this circle here, dragging my finger across it, you will see the notable changes that it makes as I drag it from either big A or the little a. Now this is already set long for me because I've turned it on, but normally it's set off, and this does not have so wide of a range. So you could only go that far, that grand, but I could turn it on like it was before. And now I have even more. So feel free to play around with that and adjust it to how you need it. I'm going to go back to display and text size and keep it on, just because that's what I need. There are different ones: button shapes, on-off labels, reduce the transparency, which says to improve contrast by reducing transparency, and blurs on some backgrounds to increase legibility. It's very, very slight that I see the option here, but some other options that some of my students have found helpful is to change the contrast or coloring of the screen itself. So this one, it's already set to be automatically on. And this just helps to differentiate the foreground and background that you see. So for example, if I turn it off, you'll see that the background color was slightly dimmed, and so it's kind of hard to tell the different sections apart now. But with it on, it's a little more bolder. I could tell the different sections apart. Some people like this smart invert. It reverses the colors on the display. Turn that on. You see, and you could even see how it affects the home screen there. Not too much, but it does affect some of these folders that I created. It changes different things. Go back to turning that off. Some people like classic invert, which reverses the colors itself of the display. So it tends to look a little darker. So turn my white background to black. Turn that off. And yes, you can use different color filters as well. So if you need something in a different kind of hue, you could definitely change that. So I turned it on, and you can choose the scale that you like here: red, green, green, red, blue, yellow, or do a color tint. Choose the intensity level or the hue, in other words, kind of like the color. So certain ones might be beneficial to you. I personally don't need it, so I'm going to turn it off. And then go back. Those are just some of the options there you have for changing the display. I'm going to go back. This is called magnifier. And so this is when you convert your camera that's on the device into a magnifying glass. So it's helpful to use this as your magnifying tool for anything on the outside. So if you want, you have a document that you need to read, then you could turn this on, hover your device over the document, and it should show up or help you see it bigger. Say I turn it on. Now it says that I can use my camera to do that. And it says, when enabled, magnifier will appear on your home screen and as an accessibility shortcut option. So let's check that out. I'm just going to swipe over until I find it. There it is. Give it a touch. And now it has opened up my camera. And these are some different options to change the lighting, but at least we have this to make it bigger or smaller. Now I don't have the option right now to lift up this camera and show you, but if I were to pick it up, I could, like I said earlier, hover it over a document, a book, change the magnifying intensity here, and use it like a magnifying glass. Okay. I'm going to go back to settings and turn this off. All right, so that's another option. Let's go to physical and motor. So here there are just a few that I want to go over. Let's check out touch. So these are different accommodations that could allow you to touch the screen with a little bit of ease. Again, I'm not an expert on these, but there are some here that have been set for you already. So for example, shake to undo. If you tend to shake your iPad by accident, you can disable shake to undo to prevent the undo alert from appearing. So this has happened to my students before where they've typed something in the Notes app and they might have accidentally shaken their iPad and it undid the work that they typed. So literally, shaking your iPad helps you to undo that action you have done, and that might not be helpful, that might be helpful. So you can choose to have this on or off. I tend to accidentally do it on accident, so I've turned it off. One that I wish I had shown my students before is this one, assistive touch. And so this one, let's go there. I'm going to turn it on just to show you. This appears. And this is the same symbol for the home button. It's kind of mimicking like that option there. Upon touching it, you see you have the option here to press on this if maybe touching this button is a little more difficult for you to do. Let's try it. It'll take you there to the home screen. Let's see what else there is. It takes you to the control center. Now that is a difficult gesture for some of you. The control center is found in this right-hand corner with a pull down motion. But that's not always easy, especially if our fingers are a little rougher and our touch is not accepted by the iPad to reveal this menu. So you could go there and instead tap Control Center and it pulls it for you. And then you have access to all these other different kinds of shortcuts. Okay. So assistive touch, I think, could be very useful. And there are more options, right? Like this one opened up lock rotation, screen lock, volume up or down, right? This could help you increase. Touching it each time increases the volume up by 1. And this one likewise. And to go back, I just hit that middle arrow. And that was found in the device option. So maybe this is something that you need, right? And I would recommend that as well. You can go back to the settings. So for that, I'm going to tap outside of this area. And go back to settings. Okay, you can also turn it off if you need. Now this is a bit more advanced, but there are different ways you can customize the gestures of tapping, touching, and all of that to make it so that it activates a certain thing on the iPad. Feel free to play around with these to try to see if it maybe activates or opens something that you come to often or maybe have difficulty normally doing. So check these out. You can customize all of these and make the iPad more personal. I'm going to go back to where touch was and back one more. Just wanted to show you that one, assistive touch. Now, I want to go back up to this section here for vision. Some of you might find it helpful to get the text that you're trying to read spoken out to you or read for you, and that is found in the spoken content section. If you go there, you're going to see a few options. One is speak selection, and another is speak screen. Some of my students have said that it's a little more helpful to be able to select what you would like to be read to you, while others just prefer the entire thing to be read because sometimes selecting or, holding down on an option to, I accidentally went back. Holding down on an option to select the text and drag it is difficult. So I'm going to turn on both and demonstrate both to you. So I'm going to go and put these on. And I'm actually going to leave this on, highlight content. It highlights the content as it's spoken to you, and that will help you track what it's reading. I also heard that different voices are more helpful than others. Feel free to choose one if this is something you're interested in. There's different languages. I was told that going to the English section in our case, and choosing Alex as the speaker might be helpful for some of you because of the way he enunciates. Otherwise, it's set to this Siri female option there. If it's not already previously installed for you or downloaded, then you might have to press the cloud button there and it will put it back into your iPad. So let's check this out with that voice. Okay. So let's say I want to check out this content that is on Safari. Okay. This is in Spanish. It was a book that I wanted to take a look at. And here, there's just so much different kinds of text. Now, let's try that first one, the select option. So again, to select, you hold your finger down over text until that option shows up in blue. You're then able to put your finger on one of those blue points and kind of drag it down to where you need. And drag it up to where you need. And now this option, speak, comes up. That was not there before. So tapping it, we should be able to hear this text read to us.
Bolay es una jaguar que vive en la selva chiapaneca. Desde ahí observa a las personas que caminan, mujeres, hombres y niños.
And as you see, the text is being highlighted
para buscar vivir en paz.
Because that is the option we turned on. So it helps to track, and I heard it in Spanish and it sounded just fine. Okay, so this is great because you could choose what on the screen, what text is read out loud to you. Now the other option, for it to read the entire screen, that is activated by dragging a set of fingers down from the top to about like halfway here. There. And I did two
Facebook,
fingers.
Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, career cuenta entrar.
Menú tople, logo horizontal blanco, quiero ayudar.
And it's reading everything. So that might be something that's helpful for you if you want to understand what exactly, I'm going to pause it there, is around the page that you're on, but maybe not. Okay, and so the great thing about this is that it allows you actually to have like a reading mode so that it only will show you the actual content of the web page, and that can be found here. If you find these two A's symbols along the top of your address bar or your search bar, tapping that, you can see this, show reader view. Let's go there. And now see, it's only selected the content from the web page I was on. That way it doesn't read every single label and menu option on the top. Okay, so this is the menu that it was to play, so I can hit play. And there it goes. And again, it's not highlighting anything that it's reading because that's a different option that was to select it. Okay, so I'm going to hit close now. Okay, and to get out of reading mode, I just tap again where I found it. Hide reader view. Okay, so that might be helpful. I'm going to go back to the home screen and back to settings. So again, play around with this and see what is most useful for you. I'm going to turn these off. Okay, I'm going to go back to the accessibility menu. And so those were just some of the different options that I wanted to review. Again, it was mostly here in the vision and then only really one of the physical and motor options. If you need any assistance with these, please let your staff know, your teachers know, your tutors know, and we will do our best to assist you. Otherwise, I hope that what you have seen in this video really helps you to get a sense of the different things you could do on this iPad. And as you can see, there are so many different things to customize it for your individual needs. See you back next week or another time for another video. Take care. Bye-bye.